I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on Sonic Perspectives, I'm pleased to be speaking with Frank Hannon of Tesla to talk about their new EP, All About Love, that came out the end of November. Frank, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Hey, what's happening, Robert? What's happening, everybody out there in internet land? I'm gonna put these little earbuds in. Maybe I'll be able to hear you better.
Sure, sure. How's
Yeah,
that? Is
how's
that
it
better?
going, man? No, that's way better.
Oh,
Because
good.
practically deaf from all these years of loud concerts and many hours in the studio. But now I've got you directly in the ears.
I tell my wife the same thing. I said, when I was in a band and loud music and concerts, and that's why I can't hear you. She goes, you need to hearing it. I was like, no, 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 I'm okay.
Yeah, the frequency of a female voice is in the upper mid range, which just so happens to be the same frequency as the guitars and the drums and all of that. So,
I
it's
knew there
it's
was a reason.
legit. It's
I knew there was
legit.
a reason.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Frank. And I do love the song, and I've been listening to the EP, and I love the sentiment behind the song, All About Love. I think the world needs to hear it, and I think it's a great message. Was this an open letter to the world? Because I think the world needs a good message right about now.
Yeah, in today's world, I mean, the timing of it definitely seems to be appropriate with all the troubles and all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world and all the divisiveness over the election and all that. But honestly, Jeff Keith, our lead singer, has always sang and wrote lyrics with this message in it,
Mhm.
in his lyrics and his songs. Like Tesla, even like Love Song from 1989. He was singing about it being a hopeful and love will find a way. And we have a song called "The Way It Is, the Way It Goes." It's happening every day, and then like hang tough. When the going gets tough, and it's not what you got, what you give. We've always tried to be responsible in the sense of just putting a positive message out there instead of a negative. There's enough negativity in the world, and we want to make people feel good with our music. And so and a lot of that credit goes to Jeff Keith, and he'll come up with the ideas and write most of the lyrics, but then he'll bounce them off me. And typically my music will have kind of a positive melodic vibe that'll fit with that. And so he and I work really good together on writing those kinds of songs.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I think it's kind of Beatlesque in that sentiment, that 70s, 60s sentiment of, let's all get along, let's all get together, let's all be happy, let's all make this work and be kind to each other. And I think I really like that. I like the message overall that it was
Well,
kind
thanks, man. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. I feel very, very blessed and fortunate to be with a band like Tesla for this long. It's 40 years plus. I mean,
right.
I'm just doing a little bit of reviewing of my guitars and this right here. This is my world famous guitar lounge. I'm launching a little video series of
Oh, cool.
sharing some videos on my Instagram, my social media of my personal guitar collection over the holidays. And anyway, I found a guitar that I bought in 1982 when I was 16 years old. I still have it,
Yeah.
and it just makes me realize how fortunate and blessed we are to have had such a long, sustained career that's still going very strong in music, and especially since we focus on writing songs with a positive message and not the normal rock and roll you know negativity that gets projected.
Yeah. I can't wait to see the series about guitars. I love it. The one behind me, the Charvel, is from 1982, San Dimas. I cut a lot.
Oh,
I cut a lot of lawns to pay for that guitar at the time. So yeah, it's
oh,
my
we're
first
cut
one of my
from
first ones.
we're cut from the same cloth, man. I used to mow lawns a lot, man. $5 a yard,
Yes,
and save up for a guitar. I had to work for everything, and
you too.
that's the other thing that I'm proud of with Tesla is we have worked for everything. We were never like an overnight success that had everything handed to us. I mean, we've paid our dues a lot starting from the very beginning. And yeah, Charvel San Dimas, yeah, those are great
The
guitars.
original. Yeah, very low serial number. So I'm really excited about it. Who would have thought? Looking back to the 1980
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
I think
Well,
it's 82 or 83.
1982 in the early 80s was so much fun back then. I mean,
Oh yeah.
being a teenager in that era of music and it was a lot more exciting because you had to really work for it and go. If you wanted a new Ozzy album, you had to go when Randy Rhoads came out. You had to go to Tower Records and wait in line and just hope you can get your hands on Diary of a Madman. I mean, that
Yes.
it was an exciting time for music in 1982.
I 100% agree. And for a lot of people who may not be familiar with this EP, All About Love, it's a rendition. It's one song done four different ways. So it was really fun to hear the acoustic version, the electric version, the live version, and the hybrid. Who came up with the idea of doing four versions of the same song?
Well, on a production level, Brian Wheat and myself, he and I started the band and have always been very driven with ideas and trying to think of new ways to do things,
Right.
keep things interesting. So he and I came up with this concept um, with this song because when Jeff and I wrote this song, it was back in 2019, or maybe it might have been 2020. It was right when the world shut down.
Mhm.
And Jeff came over and we were, breaking the rules and getting together in person. I mean, that they were trying to tell nobody could even eat dinner together back then. It was crazy what was
Yes.
happening. And Jeff was really struggling with that idea. And the lyrics of it, I want to get back to where we started, came from the feeling of being really worried about COVID and being locked down.
Mhm.
And then I may have suggested to him, we had been talking for like 2 hours working on the song, and I said, well, man, it doesn't matter as long as we got love and we love our music, we'll just do it, man. And so it turned into what it is. But the original demo was an acoustic version that was really stripped down. And I played it for Brian and I told him, I said, man, I really want to make this into a rocking song.
Yeah.
So he said, well, why don't we do both? And so we just brainstormed and we practiced it at sound checks once we started doing gigs again after COVID got done.
Yeah.
And the concept is, and the reality is, and even AC/DC will tell you if you read their book, they would write those songs, and if those songs could be played either electric or acoustic or on a piano, I think AC/DC, I think Angus Young's brother was a piano player, and
Mhm.
he would play Dirty Deeds on the piano, and if it sounded good, it was good. So with Tesla, if we can play a song acoustically or electrically or however, if it's a great song, it's a great song. It doesn't matter. And you can hear the lyrics and the melody. And so that was the concept. We decided that we would showcase those three elements: acoustic, electric, and live. Those are the three things that Tesla has always been known for, being able to do all of that. And we said, well, heck, why don't we make a super single EP with the one song showcased in all those areas?
Do you have a favorite? Which version you like better?
Well, I am partial to the electric version because it's when we play it live to this day in our concerts, we've been playing it live electric. And there's going to be a new video. We have an acoustic video of it
Right.
that I'm really proud of. I produced that out in the middle of this field up there in Michigan. And that's pretty cool. But the electric version is coming out real soon. And I'm really happy with that too.
I personally, I think I like the hybrid. I like songs that build to the momentum of the song. And I really like the hybrid, starting off with the simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, that's kind of Tesla's trademark too. If you listen
Yes.
back to the early love song from 1989, which was our biggest hit, the arrangement was like that. It started off acoustic and then built up kind of like in
Right.
a hybrid kind of way. So,
Modern day cowboy too, right? To some degree.
yeah, yeah, Little Susie. A lot of our songs are like that with the arrangement,
Yeah.
half acoustic, half electric. And also, there's a brand new acoustic solo that I did on this one called "From the Heart." But the coolest thing is this EP is on orange vinyl.
That's the best part of it all.
That's the best part of it all. It's 12 inches of orange vinyl bliss.
I've spoken to you many times and I've never asked this question of you. Um, You did some, you've, Tesla's always had some great acoustic work, guitar work, and this one is on par with that. Who inspires you in the acoustic guitar realm?
Well, being a child of the 70s and growing up listening to 70s music, um, I'll be honest, Nancy Wilson and Dreamboat Annie and
Wow.
Heart was a big album for me, the Dreamboat Annie album.
Mhm.
Frampton Comes Alive. He's got a whole side where he does Penny for Your Thoughts and Baby I Love Your Way and stuff acoustically on the live album.
Yeah,
Um, let me think. Oh, one that I always forget to mention, Steve Howe from Yes.
right.
Yes, I listen to Yes a lot, and man, what an incredible band! But also Steve Howe is such an iconic, great stylist, guitarist. So those are the three that come off the top of my head. Of course, there's always, Jimmy Page and Paul McCartney, is one of my favorites as well. Obviously, those are the ones that are real obvious.
Yeah.
But the lesser obvious acoustic players off the top of my head would be Steve Howe, Peter Frampton, Nancy Wilson. Um, Let me think of who else. Those are the three off the top of my head.
You know what I thought was great about it too was not only the sentiment of the lyrics, but the feel. There was a very positive vibe in your guitar playing. And I was just wondering, was that your state of mind when you were making this? Because you were going through a difficult time with COVID and not being able to get together, but there's still a positive tone in the guitar playing.
Well, thanks. Yeah, playing guitar is an escape. So if I'm feeling down or whatever, and then I start playing some chords that have open strings and a positive feeling, then that takes me away from the negative, bad feeling I might be having. And so if I experience that joy, then I'll gravitate towards that and work on that as a song idea.
Right.
And luckily, when I played it for Jeff, he liked it because ultimately, if your singer don't like it, then it ain't gonna happen. And then it's gonna end up on a solo album or some kind of jazz odyssey that I create.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, the singer's got to love this stuff. You, from a guitar perspective, how do you approach making music nowadays? You talked a little bit about the mood, cheers you up, playing, it's an escape, but when you're coming up with riffs, where does this all come from and how does it all come to play on Tesla?
Well, it comes from different places. Obviously sometimes I'll hear something that will from another artist that will really trigger a memory like, oh, I love the way that so and so is doing this, and let me try to do that, and then I'll take it and turn it into something of my own. Or if you're lucky enough at our age to be able to carve out some time just to spend a couple hours just noodling around and
Mhm.
and quote unquote jamming, sometimes having a drum machine to play with, or even better than that, a real drummer to bang out some riffs with in a room, if you've got time and ability to do that. So there's all kinds of different ways. But honestly, sometimes the best songs will come to me when I'm driving in the car and I'm like just driving along, and all of a sudden I'll hear it in my head and I'll have to
Yeah.
pull over and I'll have to record it on my voice memo with my mouth on the iPhone, and
Crazy.
capture it. And I've got about probably 150 voice memo recordings of songs that have never even been reviewed again,
Yeah.
ideas. But it usually will come with an idea, and it's an idea that you play, and if it makes you feel a certain way. And depending on the mood I'm in, because I have a very eclectic taste of music. I love country, I love bluegrass, I love blues, I love funk, and I really love bass. And a lot of times I'll write riffs on a bass guitar,
Yeah.
starting with that. So there's no real one answer to that question,
It's
really.
crazy when inspiration strikes how you have to grab it, and lock into it. Otherwise you lose it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Especially with lyrics. Now with Tesla, like I said, Jeff is real adamant about writing his own word for word lyrics, but I'll have ideas and concepts that I'll give him, and then he'll take it and turn it in. Because one thing I've learned about singing is a singer really has to feel good making their mouth sing those words from their heart.
Yeah.
So sometimes those will come really easy. Like I just wrote a song called South on 79, and I'm gonna probably put a teaser of it out on my Instagram page. That I wrote while we were driving when we evacuated from Florida, when Hurricane Milton
Wow.
was happening last month, and
Yeah.
my wife and I had to pack it up in a hurry and get our horses out of there and drive to get away from that hurricane. And it was about 4 in the morning, and I started coming up with this lyric, you gotta pack up the truck and drive, head north on 75. And that lyric, I took that lyric and I wrote a song about that,
Cool.
So depending on the feeling of what you're going through at a certain time in your life is if you develop the intuition to write it down, record it, remember it, because they come out of the blue, like Tom Petty and all these other songwriters. They'll tell you they're not writing it. It comes to them out of the blue, and that's how it does. Your ideas will just come to you out of nowhere, depending on where you're at the time.
Now, was this your approach now different than when you were working on Mechanical Residence? Residence, excuse me.
Well, yeah, it's developed now to where I'm more aware of the whole songwriting process 40 years later.
Hmm.
The way we wrote songs back then is, we were playing in the clubs and we would get together and practice and jam. And it was just who could write the heaviest riff. Tommy and myself, we would trade riffs, and Brian, and we would put those together in the jam room on a 4 track. And then we'd give a tape to Jeff, and then we wouldn't hear it for a couple weeks. And then he would come back and we'd have a song like Coming at You Live or something that we work up, and then
Awesome.
we would play it in the clubs. We were playing the clubs a lot, man. We paid our dues in the clubs for a couple years,
Right.
and playing on the weekends every weekend, sometimes starting on Thursday nights to Saturday nights. And we were mixing in our original songs with the cover tunes that we were doing, and the songs had to be as good as the cover tunes in order to keep the audience engaged on the dance floor. So
Right, right.
we were writing songs more geared for how would those songs compete with the top 40 set lists that we had. For example, back then we were playing, Rock of Ages by Def Leppard,
Yeah.
Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions, and Blackout and Sin City by AC/DC.
Yes.
So then we thought, well, heck, man, we got to play Coming at You Live or Easy Come, Easy Go. And we would write songs that would compete with those. That was our vibe then. So it was a total different vibe.
Sounds like our set list back in the day too. A couple of Dio
Yeah.
tracks thrown in there for good measure too.
Oh, dude, Rainbow in the Dark was always fun to
Yes,
play.
always, always. And Don't Talk to Strangers, one of my personal favorites.
But see, now I'll tell you some funny dirt here that, about us is back in that period of 1984, the top 40, in order to play at a club and really make some money, you had to be more on the pop side. And that's why we called our band City Kid at the time. And we were playing Loverboy songs. And we even had to play some Hall and Oates. And nothing against Hall and Oates. They're
No,
not easy to
talented
play,
guys.
but
Or
we
sing.
wanted to be playing the Scorpions and the Van Halen, but instead we had to throw in a couple minute work songs in there to get the gigs.
I can't envision that one. Hey, the Scorpions did Tainted Love. They did a cover of Tainted Love. Maybe you could do a cover of Men at Work song. What was that big Men at Work hit?
Who can it be now?
Right.
Honestly, the stuff that we played in that genre that was killer was Eddie Money.
Yeah, Eddie Money's rock, though. He's solid.
Yeah, man, we used to play Shakin', and that was
That's a great
always a
song.
crowd pleaser.
That's a great song.
Yeah, we used to play that in the clubs.
What's Tesla's philosophy when it comes to releasing new music? Growing up, you and I growing up in the 70s, the 80s, I'm always a fan of the full album. but the world has changed over the course of time. Tesla seems to have adapted to that pretty well with releasing singles. Cold Blue Steel, Time to Rock, for instance, this EP. What's your philosophy on releasing music?
Well,
And
the world has changed, you know. I mean, it's actually gone full circle. Back in the 50s when rock and roll was first born, you know, Hank Williams and Johnny Cash and Chuck Berry and all of them, they would always just put out singles that
right.
they recorded live at a radio station. And it wasn't until the 70s or the late 60s that full length long LPs came into existence.
Mhm.
But besides the world changing, we have changed too. We're a lot older now, and you know we have to tour a lot to make a living. I mean, we're not rich. We never became millionaires. We still have to pay our bills, and so it's it makes more sense the philosophy of going out on tour and writing a song, and while that song is fresh, putting it out and enjoying it at the time, like we've been doing with All About Love or those other ones.
Right.
And the days of taking a year off and arguing in a studio over 10 songs that aren't going to really get their full due, because really the best way to create songs is to let them live for a while and to try them out at the shows and stuff, and it takes a lot of time. So you know, if you notice, a lot of bands including ourselves, the albums, all 10 songs aren't as good anymore because the process of spending all that time trying to make every song great,
Yeah.
it's just not realistic anymore. So it works much better for us just to put all of our eggs into one song or maybe two and really make them as best as we can be and go out on the road and play them while they're fresh.
No, that's great. I spoke with Mike Wilton of Queensryche the other day. His sentiment was very similar to yours, where he was like, we lost time, energy, money during COVID, the downtime in COVID. So now we're touring extensively to make up for that, that lost paycheck and
Oh yeah.
going into the studio for what you say and working out 10 songs. They're not there yet financially. So I was wondering if that's probably the same, sounds like the same scenario with you guys.
Yeah, that's the same scenario. I mean, we took such a huge loss being grounded for 2 years, that we're still barely pulling ourselves out of that hole financially.
Right.
But that being said, the blessing to it is that when we focus on a song like All About Love or Time to Rock and just focus on that and then go out and play it live while it's hot, it just tastes better. You know, like it's like eating a meal. As soon as you get it off the stove and you put it on your plate, man, that's when it tastes good. So for us, we can write a song and make it happen and then you hit the road and play it,
I
you
love
know,
it.
and
I love it.
and it's I like that. I like it better, honestly.
Tesla survived all the music, the ups and downs of the music business. And I think it's due because of the band's authenticity. I think you guys are true, authentic people, and your music portrays that. And you're being, honest to yourself and to the fans. Would that be the case 40 years
Well,
later?
thank you. Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment. I mean, yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
Jeff Keith, our lead singer, he's very honest with his lyrics, and musically, we're very honest. And the bottom line is we work hard and we appreciate it. We appreciate our fans. We don't take it for granted, you know, and we work hard at it, and we keep that ball going and put the effort into it, and it takes all that. It takes a lot of tenacity. You know, the 90 minutes on stage is the easy part, man. But the packing your bags and getting to the airport at 5 in the morning and making sure you get on the shuttle van and making sure if you're lucky, you get a hotel room. All of that stuff is very difficult. And when you're
Yeah,
60 years old, it's a lot less appealing.
I hear you.
But we don't take it for granted. We appreciate it and we work hard at it. And I think that has contributed to the longevity of our career.
And I think the honesty comes into your live shows too. I have seen you countless times, and I've photographed you countless times. and you are always smiling. You got the biggest grin on your face. You are enjoying and my pictures have of are you smiling wide and having so much fun. And I
Oh
think it's
yeah.
contagious. And I have to wonder, after 40 years of performing, what still puts the smile on your face about performing live?
Man, it's just there's nothing like it, especially when the audience is feeling it and we're all feeling it and everything's in tune. And you know, being in tune helps.
Yeah.
uh, there's just something about that energy. And like I said, that time, that 90 minutes on that show is the most special time of all of it.
Yeah.
The rest of the time it takes a lot of it is hard. And so when we're on stage, it's a joyous occasion. And plus I'm of the mindset of I'm not there to stare at the floor and try to project a negative mood. I'm there to make people feel good. And
Yep.
I like to entertain people, man. And I like when I used to go to concerts and I would see a band and I would see a guitar player or a group of musicians getting together and rocking it out like Leonard Skinner does at the end of Freebird. It's like, yeah, that's what
What you
makes
came
that's
for.
what gets your heart pumping.
Oh yeah.
And so I like to project that kind of energy in my performance as well, man. I like to engage with the audience and like play something and get a reaction.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
I want to be respectful to your time. I got one last question. You opened up for Def Leppard countless times, and I've seen you in the theaters, I've seen you in clubs. Which one do you get the best reaction out of? When you're playing that large arena, how do you bring that home and bring that to the smaller feel? How does it convey?
Well, every venue is different, and you learn how to play a room.
Yeah,
There's an
good
art
answer.
to live performing, and um, I'll just call it playing the room.
I love it.
And when we're in a big arena, there's a certain feel of when you're playing your notes and you can hear it echoing up all the way to the nosebleed section, and you hold it a little longer and you can feel that and draw it in. But sometimes the most difficult gigs that I've done have been playing at a private party in somebody's living room for three people. That, and I've been paid to do that. I've had somebody
Wow.
fly me up to Idaho and play at their grandma's birthday party one time, and singing and playing some songs, and that is much more difficult to do than playing at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. Well, Frank, I want to thank you so much for your time today. It was a fascinating interview, and I always enjoy speaking with you. So always so insightful. So thank you for your
Well,
time.
I got one more thing to show you if you got the time,
Yeah,
because
I
since
love it.
you're a guitar lover, we were talking about
Yeah.
the 80s. I'm
Yes.
going to debut this. I have not shown this guitar in public in ages,
Wow. Let's see it.
since I was 16 years old.
Let's see it. That's cool.
Okay, feast your eyes on this.
Wow. Washburn, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Yes. That was like the model Carlos Cavazo had. Remember in Quiet Riot when we were kids?
Yes, but I had this before I saw him.
Really?
I got this guitar because I could not afford a Gibson, even though I have a Gibson shirt now and I love Gibson. But in 1982, I was mowing lawns and I wanted to have a guitar like Randy Rhoads or something. And
Yeah.
this is what I could afford.
Beautiful.
And man, this guitar was great. It sounds killer. So I'm going to do a little video of it on my world famous guitar lounge on my social media. So tell
Very
your
cool.
listeners to tune in.
I
Okay.
will. What did you pay for that when you were a kid? Do you remember?
Oh, $300 maybe.
Wow.
It was brand new when I bought it.
Was it always that color or did it turn more the ivory color from time? Was it white?
It was always a cream white color, but it has gotten aged yellow.
Very nice.
Now,
That's
I've got a
beautiful.
video of us with Brian Wheat and myself in our band. It was called Earthshaker at the time.
Yeah.
And we were playing Crazy Train by Ozzy. It just come out.
Yeah.
And I got a video of that. And I'm playing this guitar doing the Randy Rhoads licks. And
Oh, that's awesome.
so this guitar holds a special spot in my heart, and I'm going to be showing a lot of obscure, strange guitars on my social media coming up over the holidays.
I hope you show the white SG double neck. But when you pull that out, that's always a
Oh,
pleaser.
well, that guitar is on the truck. See, now that's the thing. My guitar lounge is here at home, but the guitar you're talking about
Yeah.
and the other guitars, the Paisley Telecaster and the SG with the Floyd Rose, those guitars live on the Tesla truck 24/7,
Wow.
365 days. They stay out there.
Got it.
So I'll have to create that video when I'm back on the road again.
Good, good, good. Well, Frank, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your beautiful guitar. Thank you so
All
much.
right, man. Great
Have a
to
great
talk to
day.
you.
Bye bye.
Peace out.